first. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. This is the Grinning Goats Lightforge Arena tier list valuation stream for Rastakhan. I'm Admukta.
This is Merps. We're doing it.
We're doing it. We are definitely committed to this 20-minute per video thing, as you can see for our previous 3 videos. And we have made it to the end, right? We did it the opposite way. We started with like the premiums that you really have to know, because I know we lose retention as we keep talking, and I also know that we're going to talk for like 8 hours. So we got the important stuff to you. Now, here is the deep cuts. I thought that was a nicer way of saying totally irrelevant. The deep cuts in the Rastakhan collection for Arena. You don't want these cards in your deck. You're not going to have these cards in your deck. You're barely going to see these cards. They are almost certainly going to be 7th bucketed. And if you are 7th bucketed in the Arena by Blizzard, what that means is you are being offered to people actually like 50% or more than 50% less frequently. So in addition to Rastakhan being like a missing expansion with no offering bonus and like, you know, all the other stuff we talked about before, largest card pool ever, the 7th bucket is going to really work against these cards. You will like get offered these cards like maybe 5% of drafts.
Okay. All right. So we're good. Okay. That's good. I'm looking at the first card though. That's not right, is it?
That is right. We have a new... We'll see, okay? You can
wait. What?
See.
Wait, we discussed this. It was no way. Wait, okay, you got some explaining.
I got some explaining to do. Okay.
What?
So the first card we're going to talk about is Arena Treasure Chest, which we have rated a 86, which seems absurdly high.
It was like a 20 when I looked at it like hours ago.
No, you must have looked at it like 12 hours ago. Things move fast, okay? When it comes when we have like a total of like 100 hours to get this card and all the cards and then value them all in the algorithm, things move fast.
Okay. Lots of you're right. This is not going to take okay, please. What?
Arena Treasure Chest is a 4-mana 0/4. Death Rattle, draw 2 cards. That's right. Instead of an Arcane Intellect drawing 2 cards for 3 mana, you're paying an extra mana to pretty much not draw the cards and then have an 0/4 body on the board. Why? Oh, so first of all, it's obviously worse than Arcane Intellect. Arcane Intellect is like 120. So we're not in that zone here. Second of all, this card is going to have its value move up and down based on how often you can buff something. So let's say Druid...
It's higher?
Is 92 for Druid. Because they get buffs, right? Paladin. Paladin is a 88. Okay, Paladin doesn't have as much buffs as I thought it did, but Druid's probably the highest. Warlocks can kill it. So what we did is we made a better egg algorithm, like specifically for Arena Treasure Chest and the other egg that'll come up. And that's what it's happening. It turns out eggs are pretty easy to break in the Arena these days by almost all the classes. This is mostly due to Fungomancer. And when you Fungomancer and or in other ways buff the attack of a egg, right, it becomes very usable. So in Arena, I think we've been undervaluating eggs the entire time. So if you look at something like, what is it, Swamp Dragon Egg, it's a 83. So a Swamp Dragon Egg moved up by like, I don't know, a whole bunch of points also. The Arena Treasure Chest may cost 3 more mana, but it gets you 1 more card. And it gets you more health. And the health actually matters. And it draws you cards instead of getting random dragons. Drawing cards is still better than getting a random dragon. So... that's why the score is what it is. Let's look at some other eggs. Devilsaur Egg. 84. So, the eggs that summon things get a little bit of a penalty because the things you summon happen a lot later. Whereas getting cards later isn't like as affected. So that's kind of where we're at. And while we're doing this, let's talk about the other egg that's happening in Rastakhan and where that gets valued. Scarab Egg, which is at a 79, is the 2-mana 0/2 Death Rattle, summon 3/1/1 Scarabs. So 3/1/1s are basically what you expect to get with a 2-mana card to begin with, and they hide it in an egg, give it a 0-2, so that drops the score like a ton. By the way, these, like, you hear these numbers and you're like, oh, you know, like 80 is kind of close to 100, which is kind of close to 120, and that's where a Yeti is, but not really, right? Like, Sabertooth Stalker's at 83. Night Prowler is at 82. Demolisher is at 81. These are bad cards. These are cards you are not going to draft. These are 7th bucket cards. And in the 7th bucket, what you're really trying to do is find a card that works for your deck, that won't just like drag your deck down. And enough decks work with cards like Arena Treasure Chest, cards like the Scarab Egg, that they actually have some value. That's all it is. It's not good value. No one's like saying like, oh, you got to take these cards, they're so good. It's more like, well, when you're in the 7th bucket, these cards should have consideration.
Aha. Okay. Interesting.
So for the record, all the other ones were valued, and Merps had reviewed all the other ones. Just Arena Treasure Chest had a bug.
Okay. Right. Because we went through all the other ones. I'm like, am I okay with the score? I'm like, yeah. Because I agree with the basic premises. I agree with all the themes that you've been talking about in terms of like, is it easy to pop eggs nowadays? I'm like, it's actually really easy to pop eggs, right? So I guess it extends here to some extent, but it's just still hard for me to see because
we'll check on it again because I agree. I think this is high too, but this is not like what the number you reviewed was like a 28, and that was bugged. So we'll check this again. It's like I think if it's not right, like if we find like that, you know, we screwed up somewhere in this because we've been doing this very rushed in the last minute, right? Like the Arena Treasure chest, it's still not going to go down that much. Like it's going to go down maybe 10 points because that's what these cards are. Like you saw the other eggs, right? Like you saw what the other eggs are scored. This one's not going to be like maybe this one's not the leader of the eggs that it is right now, but it's going to be like all the eggs are in the 70s and 80s.
All right. Let's move on.
So just saying, guys, like don't be afraid to draft eggs. There's enough stuff. And this is like something that we just we made a more sophisticated algorithm for eggs that we didn't have before. And it's shown us that it's something that we agree with because we've been playing the game too. That eggs have just gotten a lot better.
I will say, and for those of you guys who play a lot of runs as well, if you see an egg on the other side, I think you guys are thinking exactly what I'm thinking too. Like the risk analysis has shifted. I'm like much more scared of eggs nowadays.
I always pop eggs that don't give tempo. Like literally, if I see my opponent play a Arena Treasure Chest, I pop it. I will give them the 2 cards unless I'm like super aggro, right? Like, because I think that they can trigger it, and then they're just gonna get more stats. I'm gonna lose my board.
It's interesting. Yeah, it really is interesting because whenever you see something like that, or even like the Paladin like mech egg, right, for 5 mana, like even that stupid thing, I look at it, I'm just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do about this.
Oh, that one's you won't like this.
Oh God,
Meccano Eggs at 103 now. It's like a legit average card now.
You know what? Am I just thinking about it in a weird way? Because whenever I see 103 for Meccano Egg, I'm just like, God, I can kind of see this.
Yeah.
Because whenever I see it on the other side, I have this like struggle. And then a lot of times I decide I do not hit into that. I'm like, I can't. Like, that's dumb. I just have to go with this.
And then
it punishes me like way more often than I like for it to punish me. Which is like, yeah. And look, obviously there is bias here because it's like people will only draft it in the decks in which it is supported in. But yeah, it's like there is a noticeable shift in kind of how I approach eggs, whether in my draft or whenever I see it on the other side. And that's a weird statement.
Buckets, yo. That's what buckets do for you.
But okay, no, I'm still not totally with this treasure chest.
Okay.
Rank.
So we've had this discussion before where the opponent just drops a Swamp Dragon Egg on the board at a random point, and I'm always like, oh, I kill that. And you're like, I don't know, do I kill it, do I not kill it? And I'm like, I definitely kill it. I don't care if they can pop it now. They'll eventually be able to pop it, and that means they're going to get 3 extra health on the board. And that's not worth it to me to get the face damage. And I have that same thinking about Arena Treasure Chest. If I see it, I'm going to pop it. And then the opponent just like played a Arcane Intellect that healed them for 4 plus whatever like health, right? Which, because it's not guaranteed, it is not an Arcane Intellect, right? It's not. And it's 1 extra mana for like a little bit of health. Like, yeah, this is not Arcane Intellect. It's only 86. But it's a decent card. Among the bad cards, right? In the 7th bucket, it is a decent card. And it's going to be in the 7th bucket.
We'll see.
Okay.
Contender. Next card. 2 mana, 1/4. Whenever you restore 3 or more health to your hero, draw a card. Won't happen a lot, but sometimes it will happen. When it does happen, it's good. When it doesn't happen, it's bad.
It's a 2 mana 1/4. That's at 86. Next card, Masked Contender, is at 84. Battlecry, if you control a secret, play a secret from your deck. So you have to first have a secret that is on the board live, and then you have to have another secret in your deck. So this is the score for the average of classes, I think, which is like that you don't have secrets at all. So this is just a 3 mana 2/4 scored. Let's look at it in, let's say, Hunter. Ah, crap, what was the card called?
Masked Contender.
Masked Contender. So it's a 79.
That's lower.
Well, I think it's worse for Hunter because it doesn't work with Hunter's playstyle.
No, it doesn't, because you look at it, you're like, oh, it's going to be higher in a secret, and no, I'm like, no, you're giving up that 1 stat. It's like, do I want to give up 1 stat for this? I'm like, no, definitely.
So the classes are adjusted based on their hero power in addition to their like card pool, and so Hunter gets very aggressively adjusted because of the hero power. Mm-hmm. In a mage, Masked Contender is a 83. So I don't know. So still lower. I don't know. I'm gonna go look at this card.
So which is it higher in? Because I'm like, I totally agree with it in Hunter. I'm like, no, I do not. Because look, I play Hunter a lot, and I know how many secrets are in Hunter, right? Number 1, and I know how much that stat matters, which is a ton. So even though they have secrets, I'm just like, okay, like whatever. But assuming that 84 is the average, if this is not the average score, in which case, I don't understand.
We're going to look into that a bit more. I'm going to guess it's broken.
Okay, excellent.
So its score in Mage and Hunter and Paladin is probably going to be higher. But it will still not be out of this category of cards you don't want to draft and cards that are in the 7th bucket, etc., etc.
Next card is Banana Buffoon. 3 mana, 2/2. Battlecry. Add 2 bananas to your hand. Bananas, if you guys don't know, are 1 mana spells that give +1/+1 to a minion. So understated, give you a little bit of option, give you some spells, but overall, bad card.
Yup. We already talked about Scarabag. Crowd Roaster is next. 7 mana, 7/4 dragon. Battlecry. If you're holding a dragon, deals 7 damage to an enemy minion. So it's like a fireball that only hits minions. And it is 3 extra mana for a 7/4. So that's good. But you gotta have a dragon in your hand. There's not that many dragons in the game, even if they added a couple.
Yep. So this card is a 78 score, and it will win/lose you the game sometimes, right? You will. If you play Arena enough, you're gonna get crowd roasted more than you'd like.
And it swings really heavily based on how many dragons you have in your hand. So if you have a dragon deck, this is gonna be a good card, right?
Right. It's gonna be a really good card, an insane card. But also, like, this can't even go face.
Yeah.
Gosh.
It's not going to be that big of a difference in Warrior. I see chat like looking at the Warrior score. It's 81 in Warrior. There's not that many more dragons in Warrior than there are in in Neutral.
Once again, new expansion, but it's easy for people to look at. It's like, oh, they get dragons. No. The dilution and lack of offering bonus.
They get a tiny bit more dragons.
Tiny bit. Tiny bit.
Okay, next one, Shieldbreaker, 2 mana, owl, but you can only target taunt creatures.
That's all I need.
Okay, so like old school owl, it's a 74. This is like Skull King Geist and Rubian Unraveler. It's actually the same score as owl, by the way. So they balanced this like to a T with how they balanced owl. What that means is it has more use cases than an owl for aggro decks, so that makes it better for a particular style of deck, but overall it's still a very weak card in the arena. But it does swing higher, right? Like with aggro decks.
Yep. All right. Let's blow through these next few cards.
So now we're at a 64. This is dollar and mage level, so let's not care about... Like, these cards are all terrible. Don't even care about what level they're at. These numbers don't matter. 64, Murloc Tasty Fin. 4 mana, 3/2, Murloc Death Rattle. Draw 2 Murlocs from your deck.
You don't have Murlocs in your deck.
Next one is a Helpless Hatchling. 1 mana, 1/1, Beast. Death Rattle. Reduce the cost of a beast in your hand by 1.
You probably will not have a beast in your hand.
Let's say you do, and you're a hunter. What is a Helpless Hatchling in a hunter? It's a 75. You still shouldn't take it.
Nope.
Just because saving 1 mana makes it a wisp. Like, just so people understand what's happening here. This card is a wisp if it's conditional triggers, and it only triggers on the Death Rattle. Gurubashi Chicken. It
could be as good. Yeah, it could be as good as it was. Anyways.
Gurubashi Chicken, 1 mana, 1/1, Overkill, gain +5 attack, Beast. Not much to say there. Arena Patron, 5 mana, 3/3, Overkill, summon another Arena Patron. That's a worse version of the original Patron, which was a bad card. Not much to say here. Gurubashi Offering, 1 mana, 0/2, at the start of your turn, destroy this and gain 8 armor. Just to give you an idea, Arena Patron is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It is the 7th worst neutral card that's non-legendary. And there are 3 more cards. That means 4 of the 7 worst arena cards in the game are from Rastakhan. This is what we mean by, like, it's polarizing. And, like, a lot of these cards are just, like, not cards. So yeah, Gurubashi Offering, like, it's way too conditional. When you need armor is probably when you, like, don't have the board and then you don't get armor. Like, this is, I don't know. Serpent Ward, 2 mana, 0/2, Totem, neutral totem alert. At the end of your turn, deal 2 damage to the enemy hero.
Oh my god, I love this card.
Oh my god. In Hunter, because people are going to care, Serpent Ward is a 56, which makes it the same as a Wisp.
I love Wisp in Hunter.
Oh my god. Dozing Marksman, 43, 2 mana, 0/4, has +4 attack while damaged. It's like a bad egg that your opponent can't really remove off the board until later on in the game.
It's an egg without, like, upside.
Yeah, right?
That's really what it is. It's just like an egg with so little upside. Yeah, that's essentially it.
Well, that's all the cards that are non-legendary. Let's talk about legendaries. We're in the deep cuts section, all right? These are deep cuts. You're not going to see these in the arena very often. That's why I put the legendaries here. Legendaries could be okay. We have 5 of them, and they span the range from Yeti level, because it's a Yeti, to trash. Let's start with the one that matters the most among the legendaries. Grifta. Grifta's a legendary. It's 4 mana, 4/5. Battlecry. Discover 2 cards. Give 1 to your opponent at random. Let me just explain how the mechanic works, and then Merps will tell you why this is a little tiny bit better than a Yeti. You first discover 2 cards. Like, you discover a card, you pick it, and then you discover another card, and you pick it. And then one of them ends up in your opponent's hands. So what you're gonna do mentally is you're gonna pick cards that won't screw you over. Right? First of all, like, if you're on the board and you're going to get board cleared, you don't take board clears no matter how good they are, because your opponent is going to randomly get one of them. Instead, you try to take cards that only you can, like, use. So, effectively. So you take, like, buffs, for example. Or, like, if you have all low health creatures on the board and you don't have high health creatures in your deck, maybe take a high health creature so you can balance yourself out and not get board cleared. That kind of stuff. On the other hand, if you're the one on the control side and you play this card, you want board clears, because your opponent doesn't need board clears because you're not on the board. So you get some kind of advantage in this. But you don't get to pick which one goes. You're not going to get, like, value in the traditional sense.
Yep. So, look, with Grifta, right, you hit the nail right on the head. As in, the choice, agency, once again, the choice of you number one, like first of all, you being able to identify your position and play towards your position. This is why it is good / better than the Yeti. Like we do not like RNG, but with Grifta, what happens is if you have properly identified where you are in the game and then you go into this and now you have the choice of saying, okay, I can either choose like two cards that are innocent in which it doesn't impact the game, or this also gives you that Hail Mary, right, in which you get sort of a card that makes all the difference, like a Psychic Scream, right? And now you're just like, well, I'm going to lose this game anyways. And now, even if my opponent has like a Psychic Scream, it's like, it does nothing for them because I'm losing, right? Number one. And number two is like, I need that. Like, this is something in which I need to actually win this game. So it creates these moments in which, because you have the choice and because you identify sort of where you're at in the game, it's like, it's almost like a pure positive for you. And that just comes from your good decision making.
Yay. Ondasta, next card. 9 mana, 7/7 rush. Overkill, summon a beast from your hand. So it's 9 mana, it's a 7/7 rush. 7/7 rushes are like, 8 mana? We've learned that from Devilsaur. And Devilsaur's pretty good. We rate Devilsaur pretty high. But adding 1 extra mana from 8 to 9 really hurts, right? Like, you can't use your hero power. It's 1 turn or later when you like really need to be playing your cards at that point. And then the nice effect is you get to summon a beast from your hand. So you need a beast in your hand, and it needs to be big enough that summoning it matters. And then, this card may live, and you may be able to overkill again, but what, are you going to have 2 beasts in your hand? How many cards do you even have in your hand at this point?
Yeah. So if you look at this, it's like, well, do I want this ability or do I want it to be 1 mana cheaper? You want it to be 1 mana cheaper. Like, definitely.
So it's a 100. Right. It's not as good as a Devilsaur. But, it's pickable. Next one, same deal, 94. Even a tiny bit even worse. It's Mojo Master Zihi. 6 mana, 5/5, which is not ideal. But you set each player to 5 mana crystals. This is very interesting because it generally doesn't have a lot of downside. You get to use your turn first, right? Like, it's turn 9. Let's say you just turn 10 or 12 or whatever. You get it later on. You get to use up your mana crystals from the turn first, and then your opponent gets set back. That's a pretty big tempo swing later on in the game. And it also has what I think is its intended use, which is like to prevent people from getting to UI or like, mind control or whatever. By like waiting until they're just about to get their 10th mana and being like, haha, you can't Pyroblast me now. Which works, right? If you're just trying to play around one particular card, this works. And it gives you a good amount of space for it. Setting them back to 5 mana crystals means it's going to take them 5 more turns before they get to the 10th mana. So it has a lot of uses. And tempo-wise, it's only favorable to you or neutral. If you play it on curve, it's neutral. Otherwise, it's favorable to you. So, like, you need some of that to make up for the stats. But again, what you want to do is not play it on turn 6 unless you absolutely have to. You want to play it later on, even if it's after turn 10.
Yep. Okay. Next card is The Undertaker. Yeah. 8 mana, 8/5, Battle Cry. Gain the Death Rattle effects of 3 friendly minions that died this game. So they have to be your Death Rattles, right? And before everyone goes crazy with all this stuff, think about like what Death Rattles are there in the game these days from minions.
Draw a card.
Draw a card. Curse Disciple, spawn like a 5/1, right?
Deal some damage.
Deal a little bit, right?
Small amounts of damage.
Goblin Bombs.
Mm-hmm.
This is right.
There's draw 2 card. Arena Treasure Chest. That's synergy.
Hog. Oh man. But yeah, this is why it's pretty low. Like, are you gonna get 3 Death Rattles? Probably not. And out of the ones that you do get, they're like meh. And then what you're doing is dropping 8 mana, 8/5, right? Which really sucks. Like, really, really, really sucks.
Yeah. Like, first of all, you need to be doing more than drawing a card for this card to be like even okay. And so you need to play Death Rattles. And there were normally, like, we were already kind of struggling with having enough Death Rattles. If you try to make Death Rattle decks in the Boomsday meta, you saw that it was like kind of maybe functional, but not really. And then they basically added no death rattles in this expansion, so that's not going to help things.
Right.
Yeah, it's not
Once
happening.
again, to address everyone, like everyone is naming all of these powerful death rattles. Remember, you not only have to have those in your deck, you need to have drawn all of those death rattles, played those death rattle minions, have those death rattle minions die, and then play this in order to get the effect of it. So if you're saying, Merps, just wait. On turn 18, this thing is going to be pretty good. I'm like, all right, have fun with your pretty good turn 16 8 drop. That's kind of it. So yeah, it's like even if you have the deck, good luck with your turn 16 pretty good 8 drop.
All right, Hakar the Soul Flayer, 10 mana, 9/6, Death Rattle, shuffle Corrupted Blood into each player's deck. Look at all these Death Rattles. What are we talking about? Yeah, so the Corrupted Blood deals 3 damage when you draw it, and then puts 2 more Corrupted Bloods in your deck. It's very slow for Arena. It's not going to work. And it's at 49. Like, this is Lorewalker Cho levels, like Ozrock levels of King Togwaggles, like all these combo-y cards, right? Like, that's where this falls under.
Don't say like Twitch chat considers all of these premium top tier cards.
Yes, Azalina, Vorax, yes.
Yeah. These are all
the
these
darkness.
Are all like
understand.
Oh, the darkness.
The darkness.
That's like
Auto
S tier.
pick. Right?
That's S tier. Yeah. All right. So that's it. That's the scores of all of these legendaries. Pretty underwhelming, right? You know, we don't have like Zilliax this time.
Yeah, deep cuts in the arena for neutral and Rastakhan. I mean they're interesting at least, right? Like even if you don't see them very often, I would be like, ooh, whenever I see one of these cards, which is the point. So I think they're pretty well designed for arena. Want to send us away, Merps, before we start the classes?
Oh my gosh, we're almost there. All right, guys. We want to once again give shout outs to all of our Patreons. Thank you so much for your constant and very consistent support. So if you guys like what we do, please go to patreon.com and you can search up Grin and Goat there. And you too can have the opportunity to give us cash. Thank you.
See you guys.